easy it is to actually create a horizontal stack. Use H-stack. Oh, left and right na siya. Right? And pwede nating, like kanina, di ba, hinila ko lang pababa. Hindi ko na kinat copy-paste and ganyan. There's so many shortcuts available here. Yan. And pwede nyo na siya makita. Ano itsura niya pag iPad na size na like landscape mode and pag naka-portrait mode na iPhone, ganyan. Kita nyo na rin siya, diretso. So kung ano nakikita nyo sa iPad, yun na rin talaga mismo yung lalabas sa app. So ayan. Ano pa ba dito? Ano pa bang meron, right? Sabi nyo, learn Swift and Swift UI using iPad. Swift UI pa lang to, Michi. Ano pa ba? So, papakita ko paano matuto. Like, for example, what working right now is already Swift, right? This one, I'm gonna show you like, paano tayo matuto ng Swift language, right? Ito, si Apple, marami siyang mga like free books sa Apple Store, yung books. Like ito, yung Swift programming language na ebook. This is free. It's kind of like the Bible or dictionary when it comes to learning the Swift language. So, pwede na natin gamitin yung playground side by side, right? Side by side. And then, habang nagbabasa ka sa kabila, ini-execute mo na siya sa kabila. Saka, whether left or right, whatever you prefer. And then, ang maganda dito is, yung playground yan, may console na siya. Dati wala pa yan eh. So, if you do a print, let's say, yun nga, yung first variable, second variable example, and you decided to run your code, makikita niyo siya sa side, may gilid din na 1, 2, 3. Pwede mo makita yan. Pwede mo siya ilagay here. Parang notes mo yan, nire-recall mo eh. Right? At the same time, meron din sa baba, parang paper na may dot, para makita mo yung console mismo. Yun yung console natin. Ngayon, nakikita ko to nasa taas siya, di ba? Yung sa Swift Playgrounds 4 na pinakita nila, binabanan nila, which is mas better, right? Hindi kasi natin siya nasa-switch basta-basta. So, it's easier for you actually to read the books, right? At the same time, code it on the side. I think yun yung isa sa mga pinaka-advantage when you're learning Swift at the same time using Swift Playgrounds. Bilis. Ayan, lahat ng mga kailangan references, it's just there. So, no worries, libre lang tong mga apps na to. Yan. So ngayon, nakita nyo na, that's how you can actually learn Swift and Swift UI within the playgrounds, right? And ano pa ba yung mga pwede natin gamitin apps? So, sinabi ko na yung Swift Playgrounds. Ito, Apple Developer App to. Ito yung mga announcement tuwing WWDC. Lahat ng videos nila, pinanonood natin yan. Dito na lang yan. Buksan nyo lang yung developer app. Watch it. It's free naman. Unwrap, ito yung gawa ni Paul Hudson. Hindi ko alam if you're familiar with Hacking with Swift. Gumawa siya ng app specifically for it. So, maganda dito is, while watching the video, you can do side-by-side with Swift Playgrounds na. So, free lang rin yan. And I see this app maker na nakita ko. Impressive siya kasi parang like, yung Xcode in a way, nadala niya sa iPad. Pero Swift UI lang din. And free pa siya ngayon. I think, later on mag-buy na siya. Pero like, try to download it. Ang maganda sa kanya, hindi ko na kailangan i-click yung run my code. Automatically, it updates the view. And of course, yung books, Apple books. Ito, meron mga sample books na dito, na libre naman almost lahat ng Apple books about Swift. Nagawa ni Apple, Hindi yung mga gawa ng ibang authors. Pero the Swift Programming Language, Swift 5.5 edition na tayo, intro to do app development using Swift and more. So yan, ito lang bago tayo mag-end, setting expectations. Kasi nga, ngayon pala i-announce na pwede na tayo gumawa ng apps raw sa iPad na pwedeng i-release from the app iPad Swift Playgrounds to the App Store straight using Swift Playgrounds 4. Pero hindi natin alam kung how complicated of an app we can do, right? Ano yung limitations natin? Hindi natin alam eh. So, let's be surprised na lang within the year. And if really fully fledged app siya, that would be exciting. Here naman, iPad compatibility for Swift Playgrounds. Hindi lahat ng iPad compatible sa Swift Playgrounds. The first time na naging compatible yung Swift Playground was in iPad Pro, the first iPad Pro, and then so on. And if mas luma na yung iPad nyo, baka mas mabagal na siya mag-respond. So, I think the best way to say it, yung pinaka-basic ni Apple ngayon na release or last year, okay pa yung Swift Playgrounds doon. Ngayon, app developed via the iPad is focused on Swift UI. So, you can use UI kit, okay? Pero, based sa in-announce nila, minention lang nila ay Swift UI. So let's try to like set an expectations na malaking chance na hindi pa siya solid. Siguro give it a year or two bago talaga tayo maka like keep on pushing apps straight from the iPad. So ayun, and may question ba muna bago ako mag-move to the next? Claire, may gusto bang magtanong muna bago mag-ano?
Hi, Miss Ang.
Yes.
Yes, good morning. Yeah, I guess most of the questions here naman ay nasagot na. It's more on the compatibility, anong iOS ang pwede natin gamitin, anong software, and also if this is free, no? So, yep, mostly nasagot na natin. But since we are managing our time, so maybe you could answer na lang the questions in our chat box later, no?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So mag-move na ako to the next. If that's the case, thank you. Okay, I will do that. Okay. So thank you sa lahat. I'll actually be planning to announce something. I think last time na sa Y4IT ako, I think one of the concern there was not everybody has a MacBook, so they can really learn iOS development. It's really hard. So coming like anytime this month, I might announce something na that yung gusto talaga maging iOS developer but they don't have the tools to develop like yung MacBook and stuff. I might do something in short, I'm looking for people na talagang dedicated to and I will help them become iOS developers. So announcement na lang diyan sa either sa Twitter ko or sa invites maka-post ako. And then actually that's about it. If you want to learn iOS development, if you want to learn, Apple development as a whole, join communities like FlipPH, WDC community, Women of Code Manila, right? And if you're actually into like sharing your knowledge and everything, you can let me know and we'll add it at invites. So yun, thank you Claire. And yung mga questions sa chat, sasagutin ko kayo para yung next speaker na. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Miss Michi Ang. Thank you.
Okay.
So yun, as mentioned by Miss Michi Ang, she will answer your questions one by one later, okay, throughout the day. But now...
Before and after.
All right, thank you very much. But now, we'll move on to our next speaker. Now we have the founder and CEO of DynaQuest Technology Services, Inc., an award-winning provider of innovative blockchain solutions. His passion is creating digital solutions that are inclusive and sustainable for the economic development of communities that are underserved, left behind, or forgotten. Please welcome Mr. Randy Knutson.
Thank you very much. Let me just get my screen up here. There we go. Well, good morning, everyone. This is a very exciting time for IT. I can't think of a more exciting time to be involved in the IT world with all the transformational technologies that are out there. We touched on a little bit of the cloud computing and AI and big data. And one of the areas of technology for me that's the most exciting and transformational is blockchain. And the revolution has already started. Some of you, I'm sure most of you have heard about Bitcoin along the way over the last several years. Some of you may even have created a digital wallet along the way, being curious. And a few may be even doing some mining of crypto, or lately excited to play in Axie Infinity, the play-to-pay set of NFT games that have been taking industry by storm. But recently, last week, Bank of America published a global research report. It was a 140-page report that established and launched their digital asset division. And it's now become an asset that's over $2 trillion globally that has been too large to ignore. And it's really an area of disruption that they describe in terms of a chance to disrupt finance and technology, supply chains, social media, and gaming, as we're starting to see going on right now. And so what do these all have in common? They all run on blockchain technology. And so I think one of the most disruptive technologies today is in the blockchain space. And so we're going to take the next 20 minutes to really explore what blockchain is, the benefits that it brings, and take a look at some real world cases around blockchain and why everybody's getting so excited. My name again is Randy Knutson. I'm the founder and CEO of DynaQuest Technology Services, and we provide impact technologies such as blockchain. So let's get started first with just a short history of blockchain. If you go back to 2008 and 2009, where it all began with the publication of the white paper by Satoshi Nakamoto, who is yet to be identified as a person or a group of persons, that described Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And that started the journey. And Bitcoin required a new infrastructure to be able to handle what was called the double spend problem, which is how do you prevent a token from being spent twice in the system? And that's how blockchain was developed, is really to support Bitcoin as it first came out at that point. But the one thing you should remember throughout this presentation and going forward is really Bitcoin is not blockchain. Blockchain is the underlying technology, and Bitcoin is really the application. So think of blockchain as kind of the operating system, whether it's iOS or Android on your phone, and Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are really an application that sit on top of that. So that's the first thing you need to understand, to be clear. Even though they have the same history and started together, they're separate. And so that in 2009, the paper was published, and Bitcoins started to become available and created in that process. And actually the first Bitcoin purchase was made on May 22nd, 2010. And that was done through a gentleman in Florida in the US, and proceeded to buy the world's most expensive pizza. At that time, he bought 2 pizzas, which I hope tasted real good, because he used 10,000 Bitcoins at the time to buy those pizzas. So in today's dollars, in terms of this morning, that would be worth $570 million US. So I hope he enjoyed those pizza. So May 22nd has been forever called the Bitcoin Pizza Day as well. And things have progressed over the recent years to the point now where certainly dominating the headlines has really been in the NFT space. And we'll touch a little bit about that later on in the presentation. Some of you may have heard of Top Shot and Axie Infinity, certainly CryptoKitties, and weird whales. It's a real crazy environment that's around this space. So we'll touch on a little bit more in terms of the benefits after we first describe what blockchain really is. So blockchain can be described as a decentralized distributed digital ledger. It's really that simple. And there's certainly sophisticated technology that's underneath in terms of the blockchain, how a block gets written, how it gets cryptography that's involved with it. But in the simplest form, it's just a distributed digital ledger that just records an individual transaction. And that transaction could be the movement of a cryptocurrency, whether it be Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any of the other cryptos. It could be the ownership of an NFT, or it could be the use of smart contracts in the decentralized finance. And so it just records the transactions, which is really quite simple and basic. And how it really works is just, again, a simple process where a request goes out to a peer-to-peer network of thousands of computers to request a transaction be written. And these computers then look at the transaction, validate the transaction to make sure that it's a good transaction, and they then generate consensus and then authorize that to be written and create a new block. And that process of creating the new block, the cryptography is involved to create a hash or a digital fingerprint that connects that block to the previous blocks. So the data is linked together and is permanently recorded, and that's where the name comes from. Is blockchain is that it just records a block of a data at a time. But again, the key understanding is it's permanent and it can't be changed. So that's how the block actually gets written on the blockchain. So what are the basic benefits of the blockchain technology? It really centers around several areas in terms of transparency, the ability to see the data that's written on the blockchain, security in terms of it's stored in an encrypted fashion, so it's permanent as well, so it can't be changed or tampered with. Efficiencies can be gained in terms of the use of other applications such as smart contracts or decentralized apps, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And certainly builds trust. Really, the key thing of the blockchain is really it builds a network of trust and a peer-to-peer trust, which is really fundamentally different from the centralized models that we'll talk about. So that'll be a theme that you'll hear come up more and more in the other business use cases, this secure, trusted element. So why is that important? It really, again, creates a new architecture for businesses, decentralized and secure. And so that's really what has gotten business so excited that, as it turns out, what makes solving the Bitcoin double spend issue actually can solve a lot of other problems for business. And the fact when you add in decentralized applications and smart contracts really provides a powerful platform to transform businesses. And we'll talk about that in some of the use cases coming up. So before we get into the use cases, let me just talk about those key fundamental building blocks of smart contracts and DApps. Smart contract is really just a self-executing contract, a piece of code that sits across on the blockchain network. And so it's decentralized, it's distributed across all nodes. And this contract is really looking for kind of a if-then event to occur. And so think about it as terms of a regular conventional contract, whether that be for business or buying real estate or some agreement. And it's just codified that's sitting out there ready to execute. And so that becomes a really a powerful tool when taking a look at how this can change business. And we'll see again in a couple of examples that we'll cover up following this. The other key building block is really known as decentralized applications. And just as we talk about smart contracts being distributed across the environment, DApps are also distributed across the environment. And so it's the kind of the back-end code to be able to run applications. And in the traditional model, you see that there's a centrally managed, where you go back to a data center or a central host for the applications to interact with. The DApps have the ability to interact independently on their own in this decentralized environment. So it's, again, a key concept. It's just the decentralized environment fundamentally changes how business can approach new problems with this new architecture. So what can you do with blockchains? You can do a lot of different things, and we'll get through the examples that I think will make a little bit more clear. Certainly, we talked about the security and the nature of it being recorded on the blockchain. It solved the issues in terms of the Bitcoin of recording time transactions and the like. So it's really allows for the automation through DApps and as well as smart contracts. And certainly, it's not going to eliminate a lot of things, or it's not a one size fits all type of solution. It certainly can fit in many situations, as we'll see in our examples. But it's not an end all to everything. So let's take a look at some of the examples in the case studies of blockchain uses across various industries to help you better understand what the potential uses and benefits can be. Let's take a look at blockchain and banking. And this is a company called Y4IT, and they have a platform that's called Corda, and they specifically deal with a variety of different banking issues and payments, in particular, the transfer of money both from a business to business and a business to consumer environment. And they can cover identity, KYC processes, and commodity buyers and sellers. There's a lot of things that they can do from that regard. And so that's a platform that's in use today and helps the banks become more efficient and help drive down costs, reduce risk along the way, and especially in banking and insurance, very intensive paper processes involved. As just alluded to, insurance is another area as well. IBM has its Hyperledger platform that it works with. IBM works with about 95% of the world's top insurers on their platforms, and they have been working now for the past several years to help streamline insurance processes, which again are very paper intensive around applications and claims. And verifications along the way to do that. And so again, using smart contracts that can self-execute can help automate a lot of the processes involved in insurance. Another area is in automotive. BMW is doing a lot of exciting things as well too, to be able to use the blockchain to record the history of a vehicle that can include the repair history, the ownership, whether insurance is involved. They have an application called Verify Car, which basically records the history and the life of the car as well. They're also using the blockchain in supply chain verification. So they're ensuring that their raw materials come from trusted countries and sources and ethical terms to be able to do that. And applications as well, including e-cars in terms of how to easily find the charging station that you need and seamlessly be able to pay for that transaction as well. And healthcare is another big area of potential benefits. And it's a market that is around data records. Is certainly patient data records is certainly a huge area of development that's going on, but also data breach is a big problem area. They're expected forecasting data breaches to cost over $100 billion annually in 2025. Pharmaceutical, counterfeit drugs, and to be able to trace drug counterfeit drugs as well, and patient record fraud. One of the areas that we always think about is social security numbers and bank account numbers on the black market. That those records go for about $25, where a patient record, medical record, goes for probably $1,000 as well. So it's a major area. And manufacturing, another example. SAP also has a suite of products under its Leonardo portfolio as well, and they have formed a consortium of 27 customers and partners with a total market value of over $800 billion to look at the use of blockchain to be able to audit and trace other goods in their manufacturing. In the retail sector, Salesforce has used its Hyperledger Sawtooth, which was a joint development between IBM and Intel, to be able to help payments and loyalty experience as well. Another area is in agriculture. Walmart is really creating a farm-to-plate promotion for ethical sourcing and consumption of its products, and has been working on this initiative for a number of years as well too, to be able to trace and track the food supply and ensure food safety. And as we talked about earlier, the gaming sector is really the one that's exploded over the last year or so. You got the League of Kingdoms, you got Axie Infinity, and a whole host of others as well that use the non-fungible tokens. And lastly, identity. Estonia has been described in Wire magazine as one of the most advanced digital societies in the world. And they've really taken the blockchain and leveraged the identity to really put online about 99% of their government services as well. And so they're a good example of where blockchain and the security and the trust can be built, is already built into the network, and can help automate that as well too. So before we get in close our discussion today, I want to talk about kind of three other key hot topic areas that you'll be hearing a lot more about. One area is called decentralized finance, or DeFi. And that's an area that's really going to be going underneath a significant fundamental change in the upcoming years. And again, think back to the model of the